Welcome back to Read Aloud with Miss Godfrey. Happy Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. It's actually a short week this week because Friday is Good Friday, which is a non-school day, but who am I kidding? All school days are non-school days now, but Friday is a completely off day, and then we have Easter over the weekend. So happy Easter coming up. Today we are back with our good friend Capricorn Anderson. We are reading Schooled by Korman. I'm going to be reading 2 chapters to you today. We're going to be reading chapters 14 and 15 because chapter 15 is really short. So you get 2 for the price of 1 today. And I'm just so excited. Oh my gosh. So it's weird talking to my phone right now because I've had 2 different Google Meet sessions this morning with my classes. And so I've been like talking to them. And right now no one's talking back. So this is kind of funky. But we're going to read together. It's going to be awesome. And I'm just so excited. So, all right. Chapter 14 is from Cap's perspective. So we're back with our friend Cap. And if you remember, we left off yesterday with Sophie Donnelly was the last chapter we read yesterday. Her dad is kind of back in the picture and kind of talking to her and stuff. So we're picking up with Cap today. And then chapter 15 will be Hugh Winkleman. So here we go. Chapter 14, Capricorn Anderson. Let's do this. It says, "It was true that I now knew 129 people, but in a school of 1,100, that hardly even made a dent. Rain always said, 'Don't give up and don't give in.' Of course, she was talking about civil rights or protesting a war or something, but I was sure it counted for this too. The good news was that more students were coming up to me, which was a chance for me to ask their names. Usually they wanted to talk about the time I drove Mr. Rodrigo to the hospital. I was amazed that people seemed less interested in Mr. Rodrigo's recovery than the details of how he got to the emergency room. Rain explained it to me that the last time I spoke to her, Rain explained it to me the last time I spoke to her on the phone. That's society for you, Cap. Following rules is more important than living your life. The law says you can't drive until you're 16. So if somebody does it, it's a huge deal. You should feel sorry for those poor kids. They're prisoners and they don't even know it. That explains why Sophie is so obsessed with getting her license," I concluded. "Exactly. What's a license? A piece of paper. That's the real story, Cap, that we've allowed ourselves to be enslaved by our own laws." She was so sensible. I wish I could have talked to her 20 times a day. It was almost like I was piloting a ship through a blinding fog and Rain was an experienced captain. I wished that I could have asked her how to play every wave, but that just was not possible. "Are you feeling better? When can we both go home?" "Soon, Cap," she promised. "And in the meantime, you stay true to yourself. Don't change because everybody around you is spiritually handicapped. I don't know this Sophie girl, but her mother, Flora Mundi, well, let's just say that she wasn't one of Garland's bigger successes. They say the apple never falls far from the tree, you know." "Rain," I reminded her gently, "that sounds like a negativity trip." Rain taught me that when people are negative, they're trying to put duct tape on their own damaged souls. And while we were all for using duct tape on a drain pipe or a fender, it could never hold together something as important as a soul. "You're right," she admitted with a sigh. "It's hard to stay positive when you're surrounded by psychic zombies. I find myself slipping back to the dark ages before Garland. Yesterday, I made a hand gesture to one of the so-called doctors. Let's just hope that it was muscle memory from my taxi driving career." It made me feel weird to hear Rain speaking ill about Sophie without even meeting her. Of course, I was partly to blame for that. I had told Rain all of the mean stuff that Sophie had said and done. I had to tell her about the good about Sophie, but it was hard to nail it down. Like when Sophie smiled, just for that instant, there was almost no such thing as sadness. Would Rain even understand that? I wasn't sure that I even understood it myself. Everything about Sophie had kind of a shine to it. After years of studying art with Rain, I still couldn't remember a color as intense as the glitter polish that Sophie painted on her toenails. Even her shelf in the bathroom was a wondrous sight, a skyline of bottles, tubes, and jars of all shapes and colors. And the names: passion fruit heel softener with volcanic pumice, bird of paradise exfoliating scrub, honey infused moisturizing lotion with yang yang. I used her pomegranate shampoo with the Giga Volumizing Power once, and when I looked into the mirror, I could not believe my eyes. My hair was standing up straight in all directions, a huge sphere of blonde fuzz surrounding me like a giant halo. I tried brushing it down, but all it did was crackle and stand even stiffer. Somehow this Giga Volumizing Power filled your hair with static electricity as if you'd stuck your finger in a light socket. To make matters worse, there was the urgent pounding, and Sophie snarled, "Get out of there! You're hogging the bathroom." When I opened the door, she stumbled back 3 steps and gawked at me. I've heard of bad hair days, but wow, you look like your head exploded. I tried your shampoo, I confessed. She was disgusted. If you're going to use the Giga Volumizer, you've got to use the conditioner that comes with it. Otherwise, you might as well be pumping 10,000 volts through your hair. I must have looked completely helpless because she took pity on me. She grabbed a bottle, marched me to the kitchen, and shoved my head into the sink. As she wet me down with the vegetable sprayer, I could feel my hair collapsing from its planetoid shape. "When was your last haircut?" Sophie marveled. "I've never had one," I replied. "Never?" "Well, there was one time I whacked my head on the pump handle of our well. Doc Cafferty shaved part of my scalp so he can put in stitches." She poured on some sweet-smelling stuff and started to massage it in. "Who is he, your pediatrician?" "No, the veterinarian." The massaging hands froze. "Do me a favor," she said finally. "What you just told me, never repeat that to anyone, especially if they have child services on their name tag." Yeah, because remember, the veterinarian is their doctor. Like, that's who operates on them and stuff. Not super safe. My hair was fine after that, and I never again used anything from Sophie's beautiful bathroom shelf. But it wasn't because she said I couldn't. She gave me some advice about cream for oily skin. I never touched it though. I know when I'm playing with fire. I think she was in a better mood because her father was in town, and her driving lessons were going well. Mr. Donnelly was a really nice person, although whenever he was around, his ex-wife looked pained and squinty, like she was trying to read something off a sign that was very far away. Mr. Donnelly even took the time to teach me some of his kendo positions. I couldn't wait to show them to Rain once we got back home. Another reason more people were speaking to me at school was this Halloween dance. Luckily, there was a dance on trigonometry and tears, so I sort of knew what to expect. It looked like Rain's description of riots back in the 60s. Hundreds of people crammed belly to belly, waving their fists and shouting. I couldn't figure out why anyone would want to do that for fun, but they did. It was all they talked about. "I don't know what kind of food to get for the dance," I said for at least the 10th time. "I don't even know what people eat at dances. I thought people just dance." "Yeah, but you need snacks and desserts and drinks," said Holly Van Arden. She was person number 130 that I got to know. "My neighbor goes to St. Andrews, and at their last prom, they had create your own pizza. You design the pie, toss the dough, add the toppings, and then it cooks all while you're dancing. People were still raving about it." "Well, I think you should have that," I decided. "Go ahead and set it up." "It's not cheap," she warned. "They have to bring in these giant ovens on wheels." I told her what Rain had told me when I asked what would happen if we weren't able to afford our monthly trips for supplies. When you spend your life worrying about money, pretty soon it becomes your life. "Cool," she exclaimed as she took on the job. In the identical way, people volunteered to handle drinks, desserts, posters, and decorations. The next morning when I arrived at school to do my Tai Chi, Holly Van Arden asked if she could join me. Naomi was already waiting for us. Alright, so Cap is still delegating for the dance. This one girl had the suggestion like, "Hey, you should get this pizza oven thing." And he's like, "Yeah, it's a great idea." And she's like, "We can't afford that." He's like, "Sure we can. Yeah, it's great." I kind of see a disaster coming, guys. And now people are starting to join him for his little Tai Chi yoga session. So we have Naomi's already waiting for him. Holly Van Arden is joining him. So Hugh is just kind of, not Hugh, Cap is just kind of becoming this popular dude, right? All right, let's read about our friend Hugh, okay? So remember Hugh was the nerd. He's Cap's friend. He was going to be class president until Cap came along. So let's read about what Hugh has to say. It says, Cap's best friend. I was surprised when I overheard someone calling me that. Not that I had a problem with it. When people discussed me, the sentence usually began with, "The biggest dork in the whole school is..." Friend had to be a promotion from that. And it was true. Well, true-ish. If anybody was his friend around here, I was. We spent a lot of time together, but only at school. For all I know, he stepped off that bus every afternoon and was whooshed into Dimension X, which might have explained a thing or two about his personality. I tried to take the friendship further a couple of times, but he didn't want to join the chess club. He gave me a whole speech about the evils of competition. And when I invited him over to my house, he just said no. He wasn't being rude, he was just being Cap. Obviously, I couldn't invite myself to the place where he was staying since that wasn't really his home. Okay, I figured, how about neutral territory? Maybe I could coax him into a trip to the mall. That's a really cool shirt, I said. Where did you buy it? Another dead end. Rain and I do our own tie-dyeing at the community. And then he caught me off guard. You want me to teach you? Bro, breakthrough. We reconvened the next morning in the art room before class. I brought a couple of plain white t-shirts and Cap showed me how to scrunch, twist, and tie them up, securing them with rubber bands. Then he rummaged through the cabinets and took out enough chemicals to create a small nuclear bomb. Well, not really, but it was a lot of stuff, mostly paints and dyes and solutions that make colors permanent. We were dipping the first shirt into the tub of purple when Miss Agnew came in to get ready for first period. Uh-oh, I thought, we'll be finishing this job in detention. Hugh Winkleman, I hope you've got permission. Her eyes fell on my partner in crime. You're a Capricorn Anderson. I heard what you did for Mr. Rodrigo. You're a hero. She peered into the sink. Wow, tie-dyeing. I haven't done that since college. When Mrs. Agnew's first period class showed up at the bell, they found the three of us up to our elbows in color and wet fabric. She sent them back to their lockers for t-shirts and gym shorts, anything that would take paint. But I thought we were drawing the human figure in motion today, said one 7th grader. Tomorrow, Mrs. Agnew promised absently. Today, we tie-dye. She even called down to the office and got Cap and me excused from period 1 so that we would not get in trouble. But I guess the conversation didn't stop there, because a few minutes later an announcement came over the PA. Those students interested in tie-dyeing with 8th grade president Capricorn Anderson to report to the art room. Well, what self-respecting middle school kid would turn down a free pass to get out of work? We were mobbed in there. People lined up with their towels, their socks, their underwear, any canvas bag that was supple enough to be twisted and tied. Mrs. Agnew was in her glory. Never before had her art room seen such enthusiasm. But the star of the show was definitely Cap. He was demonstrating, helping, mixing colors, and hanging up finished work. This was more than just a tie-dye palooza. Kids were asking him about the bus driving incident and the Halloween dance and hanging on to his every word. And then it hit me. Everybody had seen Cap at the assembly and around the halls here and there, but no one really knew him. Today had started out as my attempt to get a couple of shirts tie-dyed and hang out with Cap in the process. Yet before my eyes, it had turned into an 8th grade president's coming out party. There must have been 80 students in that room, and I'll bet 95% of them approached him at some point. True to character, he asked all of their names and recorded them in his notebook. For the rest of the day, the halls were ablaze with color as the artists proudly wore their creations, most of them still wet. It was a carnival-type atmosphere, with lots of pointing and laughing and high-fives, which might explain why I almost didn't notice something else that was different about today. There was not a single spitball lodged in Cap Anderson's hair. Not even one. Alright guys, so that ends chapter 15 for us. Capricorn Anderson, he's becoming popular. He's teaching tie-dye. Everybody's coming to hang out with him. Everybody's talking to him. He is the man. So, we're going to end there. I will catch up with you tomorrow and we'll continue reading our Schooled by Gordon Korman. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed today's chapters and I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye!